What's up YouTube? This is the first of many videos on how to program this optical CMM. Links to the other videos are in the description. We're going to start with which specific modules to install in Visual Studio, and then we'll do a quick walkthrough. Looking at what I have installed, of course we're going to use the desktop development with C++ because that's what all of our backend stuff is going to be programmed in, to use things like OpenCV and other libraries. And then I'm going to use .NET desktop development for my front end because I want to use Windows Forms. So you could use Python and IDLE and JavaScript or whatever you want to build your front end in. I think the syntax and all of the threading techniques and everything is going to be pretty much the same. So I'll pick Windows Forms because it's kind of universal. And then option-wise, I tend to deploy across multiple computers. So .NET's pretty portable, so you don't really need any of the older frameworks. Again, if you're pushing to like older computers like Windows 7 and don't want to update them, this is where those options come in. But with C++, it's a little bit more tricky because that's like a lot of that stuff comes from the Windows SDKs. So again, I deploy to multiple computers. I don't know what version they're going to be, so I just check all of these things. So go ahead and click all these options and then download, and it will install it. One comment about downloading, this Visual Studio installer uses the internet. So if your computer doesn't have the internet and you're going to try and build like an offline cache. So here's some notes on that. Just go to the Microsoft documentation page and type in create offline installation. And essentially they'll use the Visual Studio command line to build that offline cache for you, and then you could transfer that or those files onto the offline machine. And these are some of the commands that I use, this one to create it and then this one to actually install it. I don't really want to get into this because it's probably not likely, but just note that there are tutorials out there that help you do this, and it is possible. It's a giant pain because these installation files are absolutely huge. Once you get Visual Studio downloaded and installed, this is the start page. To open up a new project, we're going to go File, New Project. In the New Project wizard, you have all of your installed modules here. So again, we just use C++, C#. Because we're going to use a C++ DLL and Windows Forms in C# as our front end, it doesn't really matter which one you select first to create. So I'll just pick C#, Windows Desktop, Windows Forms, and hit OK. Okay, once the project is loaded, this is kind of what it's going to look like. Now this is the 2017 version of Visual Studio Professional, but this layout is the same all the way back as far as I can remember. So like 2005 forward. It's going to look just like this. So 2019 might be a little bit different, but all the names and all the windows should be the same. So real quick, what we're looking at here is your form designer. So this is going to be essentially where you change all the colors, put your layout, buttons, words, all that sort of stuff. And this window that we're looking at is, I didn't change the name of this, so it's still form1.cs and then design. If you want to see the underlying code behind this, you could go to View and then View Code, and it will bring up this form1.cs. So all of the callbacks and all of your specific application code is going to be in this file here. And then this window to the right is your Solution Explorer. So here we have the solution, and we have the first project, which is our C# Windows Forms application. And then in here are the specific files. So we have the designer CS, and then we have the resource file, and we have the form1.cs. So form1.cs again is all of the code that we want put in. The designer is the sort of like a drag and drop layout editor. And then there's one more file that they do not want us to touch. So Microsoft essentially buries it in here, but if you double click, it'll open. Or you can, on any function like form1 class constructor, or this function optimize component or initialize component, you can right click on it and hit go to definition, and it will bring up form1designer.cs. So everything in this file is basically auto-generated by Visual Studio, so they do not want you to edit this. On the bottom right is our properties dialog, or our properties window. So if we click on anything, the only object we have right now is form1, so this is going to be all the properties for form1. So we could change the name, or we could change the text up here, we could change the icon. We can do all that stuff. We'll get into all of the specifics of our application later. This is just kind of a buzz through of Visual Studio. And then the other important thing to note in this is this little wrench icon is for properties, and then right next to it is an icon for events. If you click on that, here's all of your callbacks. So if we wanted something to happen when this form loads, we would double click here, and it would create a callback in our form1.cs, and then we could put any code that we want to execute when form1 loads. The other place you could do is put it into the actual constructor. It's up to you, it doesn't matter. So one caution is if you mistakenly double clicked on that and created an event, okay, it's going to show up in the automated section, the form1designer.cs. You could see right here, this is where it auto-generated the event handler. So don't come in here and delete this. The way you do that is click on here, go to events, find it, and click on it like you're going to edit. So single left click like you're going to edit it, and just erase the name, and it will automatically remove that out of all the references and everything. Same thing, for example, if you click Toolbox, put a button out here, okay, and then you mistakenly double click it and it gives you a button 1 callback, button 1 click callback. Don't just delete this, because that callback registration or event handler will still be in all of the sort of files in the background. So again, go to your designer, either delete the object or go into the events and just erase the callback name out of that, and it will automatically unregister it and delete all the code on the back end that it needs to do.